How's it going?
All right. Welcome to another episode of Two Guys Talking Toys.
A post-Thanksgiving episode. Hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes. Hope there were yummy turkeys everywhere.
You know, you did it right if you had that ocean spray cranberry sauce in the can.
Yeah, that goes thump when it comes out.
Yep. That's how you know you did it right. And then you cut it right down the middle because the ridges give it the flavor.
Right. The ridges give you the cutting point. The big middle part was always for Dad, But you got to have some left over because the best part of Thanksgiving is the day after sandwich, the roll, a hard roll with turkey, stuffing, and cranberry sauce.
Yep.
On the sandwich. Yeah. That's the best
all
part.
Together, you take a big bite. Oh, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
We may have to postpone this so I can go and get some of that.
That sounds like a great plan. Did you get anything new this week?
I sure did.
Is it a surprise?
This tradition will never die. What did I get today? This one actually feels kind of full. What did I order?
A turkey.
Because that would be hilarious. You know what? We should probably do that. Well, I guess perhaps the time has passed and we can do it next year. I don't know of any really cool turkey Thanksgiving based toys.
No, I don't even think there wasn't a Barnyard Commando turkey. Right?
No, and that would have been the line to have one in. I can't think of any others.
And Food Fighters had a chicken leg, but it wasn't a turkey thing. Yeah,
not a turkey leg.
That's the only ones I can think of even possibly having a turkey. Maybe Fury Planet will give us a warrior turkey.
All right, so I was right. This is in fact a twofer. I forgot that I did order two because it was a buy one get one. So I got Photon from the Marvels. Let's check real quick to see if Photon is actually in there, and I don't have someone from Walgreens. Oh, cool! I got a leg. Speaking of drumsticks, there's a Build-A-Figure leg in there, and
nice.
Come on, Photon, no whammy. Hey, we got actual Photon.
Nice.
This is great. I go see the Marvels, everybody. It's a fun time.
I still have yet to see it.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll have to remedy that soon because it's fun stuff. I enjoy it. It's suffering from this didn't make $1 billion, so clearly a failure. But if you're going to watch a movie and enjoy it and ignore the fact that most people don't want to go to the theater anymore because you want to get raked over the coals for a box of popcorn, and they know that it's coming to Disney Plus at some point, numbers aren't going to be what they want. Number 2 is Kang.
Oh, look at that.
Good old movie version of Kang. And I held off on getting this because I like the comic accurate version that Hasbro did. There's another version of him that's from the Loki series, which I also got because Kang, the whole point of Kang is variation. So I kind of this is one of the few, I think, exceptions that I will make to my rule of not, I generally don't like the movie molds or whatever, but in the case of Kang, this actually kind of makes sense that he would appear in numerous forms and have different appearances, and it is just an overall really cool looking sculpt. So it
looks really, really bored though.
He's not impressed. He's not impressed with what anyone has going on right now. He's also slightly miffed that one Kang got a cool looking apple and he gets nothing. He gets nothing. He gets Cassie Lang's heads. So
I remember being a kid, and when we were speaking about 1984, wonderful Christmas that it was, and we got the superpowers, the Secret Wars figures also entered the house, but we weren't that familiar with a lot of those figures. And at the time, Wolverine was a nobody. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
And we got the Wolverine figure, and we were like, who the heck is this guy? He had the cool claws that hooked on.
Yeah.
And the other one that we were like, who the heck is this guy? Was Kang. We didn't know Kang.
I completely forgot that he was part of Secret Wars.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, we were like, who's Wolverine? Who's Kang? They're cool. But
you got it on the ground floor, didn't even know it.
Right. Yep. And then we figured it out and we were okay. So we are returning to our Batman. What?
Wait,
I didn't get anything new. I didn't
Oh, you
get
didn't get
anything new.
anything. Oh,
No.
okay.
Yes, I'm slacking this week. I didn't get
Oh,
anything
so
new.
I doubled up for both of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was trying to steer past it, Tom, but you made us go back.
I really wanted to point it out. Bring it up. You didn't get anything. What kind of you're doing selfish collecting wrong. Stop caring about others and get more stuff for yourself.
Right. I didn't burn those bridges. I didn't follow my own plan. But we are returning to our conversation about the Caped Crusader, starting with Batman Returns, the movie line, which
guess who's back?
Doesn't offer much to talk about. It was Kenner. Kenner got it back, and they did the Dark Knight, and then they just changed the packaging for the movie. They didn't change any molds. They didn't do anything, except we did get the Riddler, which was an odd representation, and that cool Two-Face figure. The Two-Face figure was pretty cool for that line. I did like that.
Didn't they make penguins with rockets strapped onto them?
They did make penguins with rockets, and that is worth mentioning because they were pretty cool.
I feel like that was probably those are the ones that I remembered seeing on the shelf, and I remember thinking at the time it would have been really funny, and because today we absolutely would have gotten the giant rubber ducky,
right? Yeah,
that he was tooling around in.
They made Matchbox ones, but we didn't get like a full size. We didn't get a full size.
Yeah, I feel like today the Super 7 or NECA absolutely would have given us a giant size duck for him to roll around in.
Yeah, we got the repaints of the Kenner stuff, and that was about it. And then the Rocket Penguins.
Did they make a Catwoman figure?
They did.
That line.
They did make a Catwoman. They didn't do again. We never got Vicky Vale in the first one, but we did get Catwoman, and then I jumped ahead a little bit with the Riddler and Two-Face to the next movie because there was really not much to talk about Batman Returns except for the Penguins. You know what I hated? That we never got a movie version of Alfred in those lines, because that Alfred was.
Oh, that's true. Cool. That is true. We never got an Alfred. I wonder if they would have tried to make him look movie accurate. Like, at the time there was, it was at best an approximation, and I don't know if that was due to what you could sculpt at that scale, or if that was maybe like a licensing thing. Because I know even now there's a lot of weird kind of back and forth on likenesses and whatnot in certain toys, like the Dungeons and Dragons figures that don't look anything like the characters that we see on screen, but it's still who they're supposed to be.
Well, they were like the figures of the characters on screen were based off these figures, so we went back to the original look, and that's so that we had that weird amalgam. Yeah, so Dark Knight Returns didn't give us anything really new, because he still had the same Batmobile and all that. But then also in 92, out of the darkness came the Batman animated series.
Man, what I remember seeing the commercials for that and being really excited and being a little apprehensive when it first came on, and being blown away both from the intro onward.
Yeah, the intro is also in that episode number 1. The intro first the music, right? The best thing to come out of 89, as we mentioned, was the music. But Danny Elfman's score for the Batman 89, that's iconic. And the fact that they reused that in the animated series, so that music that we love came in. There's the whole, that the blimps and the lightning strike with him. And the first episode starts with him fighting those ninja guys,
random nameless goons on what was the Statue of Liberty, but not the Statue of Liberty, right? And then and one of them poisons himself, like has a poison capsule in his mouth, and then you're like, oh, right. This is real. Like, this is real. They weren't pulling any punches. Now, I don't remember if this was before or after X-Men. Because X-Men also hit way harder than I think anyone was expecting it to.
Yeah, it was before, right? Wasn't the X-Men in 97?
No, X-Men was before that.
You're right.
I know the new series that they're working on is 97, but I think that's just because it's a continuation.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we can approximate that they were around the same time, but it was a nice turn in I guess, quote unquote, children's programming.
I do think it was
because
92. Now that you're talking about it, I do think it was 92.
yeah, it was a nice turn because they were treating children not quite like they were children. It was still an thoroughly entertaining, really interesting show, and like kids could watch. You could sit them down and they could watch it
Right.
and be entertained by it. But there was stuff for the grown-ups. There was stuff
Yeah,
that like we remembered.
it was, and you know, I wasn't like, I loved animation before 92, and
Mhm.
you know, in 92 I had graduated high school and moved to North Carolina,
Mhm.
and the fact that the Batman, it was the first animated series that I knew of that
Yeah.
I was reading about Emmy nominations for.
Yes.
The first one was the Mr. Freeze intro episode.
Mhm.
They won the Emmy for that episode for writing and voiceover. It was
Yeah.
just fantastically written. That whole series was amazing.
Totally deserved. I mean, it was amazing that you only cared so much about certain villains. Like you only cared about Skeletor so much. Like yes, he was fun. He was entertaining.
Right,
The
right.
Christmas Story melted your heart, but Mr. Freeze was tragic, and
Yeah.
and he's supposed to be. But
Mhm.
it was interesting seeing that come through in animated format, like doing the backstory. And they did that for most of the villains. It was
They
really
did.
impressive.
They
And,
did.
and even if they weren't all tragic stories, they did a really good job of making you understand why that villain was doing
Right.
what they were doing.
And speaking of some of the tragic stories, like the slow burn for
Mhm.
Two-Face
Yes,
with
bringing him in
yeah,
as Harvey, like
yeah,
just and not doing anything else with him. That's just who he
and
is.
Richard Mole doing the voice,
Yes.
fantastic. I mean, most people will know him as Bull from Night Court, but it's just amazing, just fantastic in that series.
I was really impressed with. Oh, how soon after the series started did the toys come out?
Pretty quick. They were still following that formula where
Mhm.
the series came out and the toys came out, maybe even a little before. You know how they used to do that.
Yeah.
And they knocked them out pretty quickly.
Mhm.
They did the Catwoman for that line was
Yes.
fantastic. What's her name voiced Catwoman, the woman from the original Swamp Thing. She was all over at that time period. She was in Creepshow and Swamp Thing. Adrian
Oh, I
Barbeau,
don't
maybe.
remember. I don't remember her
Yeah,
name.
fantastic. Just great
Mhm.
actress, great voiceover. Um, it was just so they did the Catwoman, they did the Penguin, and the Penguin in the animated series resembled more. It was not quite as grotesque, but had more that Danny DeVito look
Yeah.
about the coloring and the stature and the real exaggerated nose and whatnot. And they did that figure. And of course, how do we not mention yet that was the introduction of Harley Quinn?
I remember when that figure came out, and
Yeah,
that was very great. It was just a good figure, period. But I remember that being one of the first things I actually hunted for because she was probably one per case because she's a woman, uh, and just
there she
ridiculously difficult to get
is.
her hands on.
Here it
Uh,
is, right here in package.
Fantastic. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I remember getting her, and then at the time, Burger King was running a Lion King uh,
Yes.
advertisement, and they had a bunch of random squeaky toys and whatever. And I got a bunch of the hyenas because you could get
Yes.
the laughing Ed because she didn't come with hyenas. She came with the giant boxing gloves. I was like, well, she needs hyenas.
She needs her hyenas.
Yep.
I love the episode where she tries to go straight when she's shopping,
Oh, it's great.
and
It's
then they make the mistake thinking she's shoplifting, and Batman comes in, and yeah, that was great stuff.
I always enjoyed the fact that she's the one that comes the closest to figuring out who Batman is.
Yeah,
When she holds up her hand and it's like, wait a minute,
I know
I
that.
recognize that jaw.
Yeah. But even that was the first time we got to see, um we all the other movies were about Batman, and then like the Val Kilmer Batman tried to get more into the Bruce Wayne side of it.
Mhm.
But the animated series tackled that beautifully.
Yeah.
And they really did. They found out, early on that, Bruce Wayne and Batman are equally interesting in and the figure line was amazing. We got figures like Clayface and a cool Mr. Freeze.
I like that it made with the explosion of villains that were coming out of the Batman animated series. I like that it made a little bit more sense to do. Yeah, they were already cranking out some of the odd like jet ski Batman series in the earlier when it was non-movie, but now with the animated series, it made a little more sense. You could play around with it a little bit more. So you got stuff like infrared Batman or extra Batsuit Jet Batman, and it made sense. And it was, made sense as in, well, sure, I guess he would wear this to fight Clayface, or I guess he would need an extra large yellow grappling hook to fight Joker. And again, a lot more freedom to crank out all that stuff.
Here's one of my prized possessions is the Batman animated series box signed by Kevin Conroy.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Kevin.
That is fantastic. Now, how many of the animated series figures did you have?
Oh my gosh, I have officially labeled it a buttload. Buttload of them. I've got a bunch of them.
Because I enjoyed seeing them on the shelf. I didn't collect them.
I did very early on. Started getting them. You know why? Because I had to get the Batmobile.
Oh, there you go. That was one of the most iconic looking Batmobiles.
It's so good. I love, and you know this about me, Tom, but loyal listeners, I love when a vehicle in a series or franchise in any way becomes a character, much like the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars or the General Lee in the Dukes of Hazzard. Like the vehicle is as much a character, and we all know this. Like the first time you get to see the Batmobile in any movie has to be a good scene. It's either the Batcave, the rotating with the light, or like in the Batman with the newest one, where it's in the garage and it's kind of growling. It's just growling at the Penguin and lighting up blue. It's amazing. But the animated series, the sound that Batmobile makes when it chugs down the road is, I don't know what vehicle they used. It sounds like, like a Harley with a Hemi in it, but it sounds so good. The sound effect, whatever they used for the sound of that Batmobile rolling down Gotham City streets, dynamite.
So you own this?
Yes.
What was the what is the one that we keep seeing in? Isn't there one that's in Retro Relics?
That is the Batwing. That's the Batwing from the animated. That's the 6-inch scale Batwing. I have the 6-inch scale Batman animated series Batmobile.
Okay.
And I desperately want that Batwing too. But the Batwing was very much designed like the 89 Batman movie. It wasn't quite as round and emblem-esque, but it had that same
more
kind
angular.
Yeah. The Batman animated series gave us the shining light after decades of questionable repaints and this and that. Then we got that. And then Kenner went a little bit kooky. They did the Legends of the Dark Knight line. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do remember that.
It was where all the Elseworlds.
Was like a pirate.
The pirate, yeah. But it did give us our first Nightwing. It gave us our first Nightwing, and he had this kind of like 40s boxer stance. And they kind of followed that sort of early McFarlane or where they were kind of posed and looked better on display than they did actually being playworthy.
You know what wrote me in? I think the first of the newer Batman figures, well, of the 90s, that wrote me in was Future Batman. He had the helmet and he had the backpack, and you press the button and the wings pop up. I thought that was so cool. And I got him and Nightfall, the first Nightfall figure that we ever got with the red, the Azrael armor.
That was a good figure, but he was posed like he had one foot forward and he had that kind of.
He was a little bit squatted down, which was too bad. But
I
remember being really impressed with that and getting him. When did? I'm trying to think of when DC Universe started cranking out Batman characters, or do you want to get into something directly after Kenner?
Yeah, there was the Legends of the Dark Knight, and then we got the movie line again. We got Batman Forever with Val Kilmer, and
going back to Legends real quick. Was that also the line that had Catwoman with the mechanical cat that she could wear as armor? Do you remember that? She had, it was like
I do remember
a copper
that.
colored cat. I wanted to get her and I
Yeah.
couldn't find her. I remember seeing her advertised on the box. I was like, that's cool. I want that. And I couldn't find her
Right.
forever.
I do have the Dark Knight, the Legends of the Dark Knight Catwoman,
Mhm.
because it had the pseudo purple, right? It was the
Yeah.
purple. Yeah. I think that was the one. I don't know that I still have the cat. If I do, it's, you know, in my
Mhm.
little baggy assortment. But I feel like I would have put that on display. But I think you're right. I think that is the one that came with the cat.
I loved that way that thing looked. And yeah, over the course of collecting, never wound up going back, circling back and finding it. But
Yeah. And
I
you don't
remember
see
when I
it. You
first
don't
saw
see
it,
it very often.
no, it disappeared.
Yeah.
I always thought that was really cool. But I was also into robots and transforming stuff. So that
Right.
appealed to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a fun line. It was a little weird. You
Mhm.
know, and they did make a regular Joker, but he was weird that squatted down. So
Yeah.
the pirate Joker, who had this kind of like flair, like sort of that Errol Flynn kind of, yes, he had the big hat with the feather,
Yep.
you know, and he had 1 foot forward and kind of took that stance.
Very, very on brand for Joker.
Yeah. Oh,
See him having fun
absolutely.
with that.
Absolutely. They had a good time. And then they made the other one who was like, he had the you know, the coat, the waistcoat and the tails, but he was
Yeah.
kind of, and he had the spats, but he was kind of squatted down like he was having a gunfight. And that wasn't really on brand for the Joker. But that first one, that kind of flair that he stood with, he even had the
Uh,
like one straight arm and one bent, like he was like, ah, it was very well done. Like, someone had some fun with that mold. I liked it. And then Batman Forever.
mhm.
And you know, we got new molds.
I like
And
the
we
reserve. I like the reserve you put behind that, and Batman Forever happened.
Yeah, there was one good
Yeah.
Batman that came out of that, and I'm going to lead into that with, we got another cool Batmobile though.
Mhm.
Of all the, you know, nonsense that came of those movies after Returns, we
Mhm.
did get a cool Batmobile. Now I don't know why they chose, like, it had the, it was sort of had that stock car, like the
Mhm.
wheels were on the outside, you know, they were
Yeah.
very, had that old school, and it had that big fin in the back.
Mhm.
Then it was ribbed down the side, and
Oh yeah, I do
it
remember
lit up
that.
blue inside,
Yes,
which was
very,
ridiculous in
very
regards to the
Schumacher.
Batmobile. Yeah,
Very Schumacher.
but it looked awesome on screen. Batman would never light up unless he was feeling lazy. Like if he was like, you know what, I want the bad guys to
Yeah,
see.
I want to draw as much attention to me as possible.
I want to give them a chance to run. I don't really want to fight anybody tonight. So they'll just go ahead and chase him away with the blue lights. But there was a cool Batman figure that came out of that also, with that sort of aesthetic. He was black, obviously,
Mhm.
and he had um his costume was kind of ribbed,
Yeah.
and it had blue, like semi-translucent plastic in
Oh,
between. So it was like a
weird.
normal looking figure, right?
Mhm.
But when you put a light on him, you really saw that blue plastic in
Mhm.
between. And it was really cool looking. Again, why would Batman want to light up blue? Who knows? But
You know, we know what universe we're in right now. That's
right.
that was just par for the course.
He was just going clubbing. He was in a rager. Major Rager Batman. That's what he was called.
I heard you've been a bad boy
Yeah.
or a bad girl or
Um,
both.
but you know, that was a weird line. I think there was a Target exclusive with different paints for that one.
Oh, would there have been the start of the Target exclusives with that? I guess that
I don't
makes
know if that
sense.
was the first one, but yeah, they had like different packaging and painting for that one.
Mhm.
And we did get the cool Two-Face out of that one.
I vaguely remember the Two-Face from that. I was still very bitter about it not being Billy D. Williams.
Right. That would have made sense, right?
Would have made a lot
they
more
didn't.
sense. Uh,
But the Batmobile was cool.
mhm.
The Two-Face was cool, and that one Batman was. But once again, just like the first one, we didn't get Vicky Vale. We
Yeah.
didn't get Dr. Chase Meridian. We didn't get our Nicole Kidman figure.
I'm trying to think. Have we ever gotten a Vicky Vale figure?
Oh,
I don't think anyone has made one,
I don't think so.
which is kind of a shame.
Yeah, I don't think so at all.
That seems like a little bit of a deep dive that McFarlane might tell. Well, nope, no, I take it back.
Nope.
Take it back. I
That won't happen.
had some hope perhaps not.
And if he did though, would he do Kim Basinger, or would he do something different?
he might do a little column A and column B, because the Batman Forever figures that he put out seem to skew pretty closely to the character likenesses.
Yeah, yeah. And again, he didn't do them. Well, he did. He's doing Poison Ivy, right?
Mhm.
The Uma Thurman
Yeah.
Poison Ivy. So, yeah. So Batman Forever happened.
Mhm. It's another one of those things where, in hindsight, it was a thing that happened. We know that things got better. We know that
Right.
that better things came afterwards.
Yeah.
At the time going through it, you're like, oh no, is this just it? Is this all we're getting? This is it from now on?
Yeah.
Aw.
And then it wasn't a Batman line, but we
Mhm.
did we got the anorectic Justice League with the Total Justice line.
Oh right, everyone had 0% body fat.
0%
They were
body
all.
fat.
I remember
They
them
were
being
like
completely caved in. Everyone was stressed out. Remember that line vaguely.
well, it was time when the Adkins diet was big. They were
Oh,
just
that's true.
they were
No
just no
carbs.
carbs, no carbs at all. They were just pure protein.
Really stressed him out. Really made him upset over the slightest thing.
And some of them, like the Flash figure, at least had good traction. And I remember there were traction like in his boots, like his boots had tread on them, where the others were just flat. But he at least stood up well, but he still had that really wide foot stance. It didn't
Yeah.
even look like he was ready to run. It just looked like he was bracing for impact. I don't know.
And he
They all
probably
looked like
was.
that. Yeah.
They knew something terrible was coming.
Yeah. And there were like, I don't know, 13, 14 figures in that line, two of
Mhm.
which were Batman. So, but the Batman figure was kind of cool, despite the exaggerated sculpt.
Mhm.
But he had like his cape was like wings,
Huh.
almost like Falcon.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But they were
Yeah.
hinged and they could spread a little, or you could put them together and it looked like a cape, and then you could
Yeah.
spread them and it looked more like a wing, which was cool.
I'm trying to think of the. I'm not good with the timeline on the Batman figures. When did we start getting toys for the Batman?
The Batman.
Because that was after 2000, right?
It was like 2003. So between like the Legends or the Batman Returns,
Mhm.
and well, then when he got the Batman and Robin figures, right?
Mhm.
So it was Total Justice and then Batman and Robin, which gave us a cool Bane. The Bane was better than the Bane in the movie. The Bane in the movie was horrible, Humpty Dumpty
Yeah.
looking steroid guy, but the figure was awesome. The
Mhm.
Poison Ivy figure was horrible. Um,
I remember being somewhat
and
disappointed that
yeah,
the Bane figure from the animated series actually looked like Bane. Bane was one of the few disappointments to me in the animated series. Not from a story perspective, but in the appearance. I didn't understand why he had a mouth. Like, I get it, they were going for the lucha look,
yeah, they're
but
going for
that's
definitely even
his.
had the wrestling like
Yeah, and I mean
onesie,
that's kind of his thing anyway in the comics. But
right?
I really hated the mouth. I couldn't stand that. I just wanted just a flat mask, and the animated figure was faithful to the animated show's representation of it, but give me just a full masked Bane. I was hoping that like the Batman Forever, Batman and Robin one would have followed that, but not so much. They
Yeah,
remedied this later, but
yeah, they did. They did, but that Bane figure from the animated series was cool though, because he was
mhm.
kind of stocky. He was
Yeah,
much bigger than the other guys. They did well.
yeah, yeah. He was definitely beefier than the average figures.
The Batman and Robin Batmobile
Mhm.
was weird too. It had that Schumacher light up, but it was red,
Yeah.
and but the front of it was wider than the back of it. It
Oh, weird.
looked
It was like a reverse bullet.
yeah, it still had the fin in the back,
Mhm.
but it was just it was odd looking. And I'll be honest with you, it's the only Batmobile that I don't have in my collection. And
On purpose.
I've got some weird ones. Yeah, kind of on purpose. Because every time I see it, there's something else that I would choose over it.
Mhm.
Like if I went into a store and that was the only thing they had that I really
Yeah.
was halfway interested in,
Mhm.
I'd pick it up. And I have like almost every form of Batmobile except the Batman and Robin Batmobile. I
Mhm.
don't have that one. So to answer your question, uh from then on we had Justice League lines, had
Mhm.
Batman. And then in 2003, I want to say, we got the Batman. And that
Okay.
was Mattel, I want to say.
Yes, that that was a line that really sucked me in because I liked that show. I remember getting a lot of flack when it
I
came
really
out.
enjoy that show. Yeah.
The animation style looked really cool. I love the design of the figures. I love the artwork. The artwork is great, and the fact that the figures uh, uh, accurately brought that over in the plastic form really impressed me. The new version of the Joker. The only downside, and I can't even really say it's a downside because again, they were toys that were made to be toys and played with, so they had
Yeah.
action features, like the rubbery kind of feel that Clayface had when he had the one arm that was in like mid transformation. The Bane in that is so good.
Yeah.
He's massive. I like the red. I like to change the
Yeah.
skin tone to
Yeah.
red
But
and how it.
before he gets big, that
Mhm.
like slender, creepy, all black,
I
also cool.
I do wish they had made a figure of that when he's pre Venom. And I like that when he used it when he got big because of the way that his costume was built, it looked like his skin was splitting. And that was such a
Yes.
cool visual that you
Yes.
could see all the red appear from between the bands. Uh,
Mhm.
I would love for someone, it doesn't have to be McFarlane, somebody to redo the Batman toy line and give us a giant Bane.
That
Uh, the,
Firefly was
the Firefly
outstanding.
was
That
great.
storyline was cool. And like
Mhm.
you said, the visuals, because the Gotham always had a red sky, right?
Yes,
And then the visuals, Firefly zipping around with the yellow light trail, and then
yes.
Batman with the blue light trail
I
following him around. It's
I like
fantastic.
I like you couldn't tell what time period it was, just like in the original animated series.
Yeah.
And the just again, like just the redesigns, almost the entire cast. I was in for it, and the changes they made, having Poison Ivy be young and be a
Yes.
friend to Batgirl, and again, like getting toys of all those. I really appreciate when a toy line commits whole hog to get cranking out. Like if you see them on screen, they're getting a figure unless something terrible happens and they go down, which is why we didn't get the giant version of Scarface that the ventriloquist
Yes. I
had.
want that.
That
Oh, the
was
ventriloquist was done so well in that line too.
such a good, such a great figure. And it's such a crime that we never got a giant Scarface to hold the ventriloquist in his hand, ironically,
Yeah.
and walk around and destroy stuff in Gotham.
Batman is important to me. Like I hold Batman close to my
Mhm.
heart. And when that series came out, um, I loved it. I love the style. I love that it was a
Oh,
younger
it was so
Bruce
good.
Wayne. It kind of had that year one feel about it.
Yeah.
The redo of the Joker with that first intro when he's got the long sleeves because it was like
Yes.
a
And he's
straight jacket, and he's
Yep.
bobbing back and forth and no
I
shoes. He just looks like a lunatic.
there
And then
was
that
so
opening scene, he
Mhm.
fights like he fights and has his own fighting style. It was great.
Yes. The I just remember being so irritated by some of the backlash against that redesign of the Joker. And to me, it was such a cool idea that for the first time ever, Joker could physically hold his own against Batman. I know
Yeah.
that in close combat, he's got the knives and the playing cards and the acid thing, whatever. But in a one-on-one, if they're bare knuckle just going at it, Joker's not winning that fight. In the
Right.
Batman, he stood a chance of winning that fight. And
Right.
like you
Right.
said, he had that kind of specialized fighting style that Batman had not encountered before, and it made him really cool. Which is again why I really wish we could get a redesign, like a take two on
Right.
that toy line,
Oh
because
my gosh. If
the
McFarlane
figure,
picked those up like he did
yeah,
the
because
but not in his like DCEU line,
yeah, I
like
don't need
he's
super long.
doing
I don't
like
want
he's
super
doing
long
with the
legs, and yeah.
66.
Hmm.
Like he's doing with the 66.
Hmm.
Do another line of the Batman because he's redoing the animated series as well and doing
Yeah.
them really well. I have some sitting right here.
Hmm.
But if he redid the Batman,
Yeah.
boy, that and even the way the Batman was drawn, man, when his cape and cowl is
Yes.
like that silhouette.
Yeah, but it made him look like a solid shape. It
Yeah.
was it was really well done.
And I'll
I'm
tell you, the one of the greatest things I'm not gonna say one of the greatest things to come out of the Batman animated series, but was Mask of the Phantasm. But I will
Oh,
say
so good.
one of the greatest things to come out of the Batman animated series was the Batman versus Dracula movie.
It really was. That would, if they had made like a 3-pack box set of Batman, Joker with a swappable head, so you could
With
have
the
the
vampire
vampire Joker and Dracula. Oh, that would have been so cool.
that that was so well written, and to
Mhm.
see Batman, and I hate seeing it, but like Batman just getting his butt whooped
Mhm.
by Dracula when they're hopping across. It was just his silhouettes going
Yeah,
across, and Batman's chasing him, and you
yeah.
see the Dracula going like this across like 3
Uh,
buildings, and Batman's like ding 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 ding.
really well
Just so
done.
well done.
They did a great job with that toy line.
And Vicky
Uh,
Vale was in that.
oh, I completely forgot about that. That was
Yeah,
in the later seasons.
yeah, and
They
she
did
was
a
in the Dracula movie.
and again, no figure.
No
Ah,
figure, no
failed us
figure.
the Batman.
Yeah,
Uh, that
that
was
was amazing.
what really pulled me in and got me kind of collecting. Like I said, I had gotten a couple of the Kenner Batman figures, but not that many. It was really the Batman that got me going to the to Toys R Us and checking and seeing if anyone new had come out. Uh, that and then DC superheroes picked up. Once Mattel started cranking those out, though I have those Batmans. I have, you know, all the variations of them.
Yeah,
They when they did the Nightfall 2-pack with him wearing the Nightfall armor versus the Azrael in
right.
his armor. I
Yeah,
remember getting a hold of that because those were great.
we're running out of time again, and we haven't even like. And I don't want to do 3 episodes, but then
Yeah, well,
we got to the there was the Shadow Tech and all that
yeah.
Batman nonsense that happened
Oh, yeah,
after the
that's
Batman.
right. Hmm.
And then then we got the Batman Begins. We got the movie lines
Hmm.
for all 3 of those movies, right? And
Yeah.
then McFarlane jumped on,
Oh, and then
and
I completely forgot. I'm sorry, I jumped right over Batman Beyond.
yeah. Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about Batman
I,
Beyond because that Batmobile, the flying
mhm.
spacecraft Batmobile, the
Yeah.
toy they made of that
Hmm.
is amazing. I picked
Yeah.
it up at a flea market in Pennsylvania
Hmm.
a couple of years ago, and complete in the box with the instructions. It shot discs like one of the guns that shoot those discs.
I
Blue with the lights, amazing.
Did they make a figure for Karai? I want to say they did the blue ninja lady that came in and she was hired to assassinate him.
They did, yeah.
I Okay, they did, but not one. There isn't one for Ink, I don't think. No,
Um,
no rhyme intended. But I loved that character,
Ink
and
was a great character.
I don't think she ever got a figure, which is too
No,
bad because that would have been nice to see.
no, McFarlane did the Ink as the
Yeah,
Batman Beyond, which was a Batman Beyond figure with purple,
yeah.
which was cool, but yeah, it wasn't awesome.
All right,
I,
so we are down to the wire. So I'm gonna pose a question to you. Favorite Batman figure?
oh, that's a tough one because I have a lot,
Mhm.
but I do want to say it was one of the DC Direct, and when I put my Batman shelf together, he's
Uh-huh.
front and center,
Mhm.
and he's got, and I don't know what the figure's called anymore, but he's got a thick rubber cape, and it drapes down and then goes across the floor like it does
Oh,
this,
that's
and then
cool.
yeah, and it's just amazing. And the Hush line, I'm a big fan of the Hush
Oh, yeah, the Hush
storyline.
line is fantastic.
So the Hush Batman, which my tattoo is based on,
Mhm.
the Hush Batman. The Hush Batman is one of my favorites.
So for my favorite Batman figure, I'm going to cheat again because that's what I do. My favorite would be a figure that just doesn't even exist yet. I would like for it to at some point. It would be the Batman that appears in the Jurassic League mini-series. If you're not familiar with this, DC did a run where the Jurassic the Justice League is a bunch of dinosaurs. They wear costumes. Batman is a T-Rex who's wearing the Batman costume. His Robin is a little Cro-Magnon child who follows him around. He doesn't understand what he's saying, and it's so much fun and it's super cool. And I would love, if they made figures for it, I would buy it in a second. Someone get on this. McFarlane, DC Direct, anybody, I don't care. Please make this figure. So with that, we are going to bring this to a close. Thank you for joining us for another episode. We hope you have enjoyed. If you would like to get a hold of us through our socials, you can contact us on Twitter. The handle is 2guystalkingtoys. That is the number 2, no G after the talking. Same thing for our Gmail. I want to take a moment to shout out Mr. Dale Dark and to Mr. Wario, who have been chatting it up with us. So it's really fun to have some engagement and go back and forth about toy collecting and what we do and why we do it. So to keep it up, please get in touch. Like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying what you're hearing. And take care, everybody.